Everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Locked and Loaded, where we keep you locked and loaded with all the information we can. Hopefully, one day James will have hair like this. As always, I'm your host, Joseph, and I'm still working on all these issues. And I need to grow up and just spend a whole day in this room and get it completely configured, but I don't. And my co host over there is Javis. Say hello, Javis, in your amazing apartment.
Hello. So
Mm.
much money spent on all this.
So much money spent on all this, and it ain't even working right. If you only knew how I'm getting audio into this thing, it's embarrassing. It should not be this way. I have an actual mixer that's designed to go into the thing, and for some reason, it won't connect. So I had
What?
to steal the audio out of the jack, run it through another system, have that system go back into the audio to get it, which is why it's not in sync for the last episode. And I had a good camera, but that camera won't stay in sync with my audio. And so now I switched out the camera, and then I couldn't get my audio unless I actually turn on the other camera that can't sync. So that camera is on, but I'm not using it. I'm using a webcam, but I'm stealing the audio from that camera from the other device that connects to get me the audio to do what I need to do.
Oh
Like I
my
said, this is just
gosh.
ridiculous. And so, as always, I got to check to see if I'm hearing everything correctly, and now it's going to hear the sound of me talking, audio to do what I need to do.
Oh
Like I
my
said, this is just
gosh.
ridiculous. And so, as always, I got to check to see if I'm hearing it. So I do. We're in sync. I'm happy. So let's do a show. So
Nice.
can't wait to be rich one day. Somebody else's job is going to be that. All I got to do is just talk. I look forward to that.
I know. Oh
And
my
then my other
gosh.
thing, which is hilarious, is I have the two monitors here, and then the one monitor, it looks clear enough for me to see, but the color correction is not correct. So I got to look at this monitor over here to check the color correction to make sure it's right. If you like, it's just a whole f up. Like I
It's a
would pick
whole
up
thing.
the camera thing to move it around, but as you saw before we even started the show, I couldn't even adjust that right. And I've literally spent like what an official how many minutes talking about this right now? I can't even move the thing over here to find out. So
Two
not
and a
even gonna
half.
do it. Where is the timer on this thing? I see
Well, for
nothing.
mine, it shows for mine. Mine says 2.5.
Yeah, mine usually shows it, but it ain't showing it. That gives me the timer of how much time we have.
Oh Lord.
But yeah, it's gonna be a fun day. Javis, what would you like to talk about today?
I mean, there's so many things to talk about. I don't know if you even wanted to approach the subject of the tie. I said about to say the tie fighter, but no, approach the subject of the Titanic or not. If you don't, then we can go directly into what the heck is going on with DC and why didn't they do what we asked them to do a year ago and just put everything on HBO Max. But I guess it's not HBO Max anymore. It's just Max. Put it on Max. Um,
Um,
but
I
but
would
yeah,
have
that's
to.
that's
It's fun to send a message so I can get something, but yeah, cool. All right. In my honest opinion, those are two current subjects to talk about, but I feel I would lose viewerships, and right now we have zero viewers. Even worse when the video comes out about me saying what I feel about the submarine situation. So we're gonna skip over that until I
okay.
have a billion followers. That way, when I lose 100 million, it won't be a big deal.
Of
Um,
course.
so DC part though, I'm in total agreement that they should have just went ahead and streamed everything. I think they thought because they had Michael Keaton as Batman that it was going to be very successful. Then I looked at the numbers and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And then everyone I talked to, nobody saw it, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Like they have. I figured Michael Keaton would get all the Michael Keaton fans of the original Batman to the movie theater to watch this, and yet that wasn't enough. So we finally get Michael Keaton in the suit, ready to go, and it still doesn't give us the numbers that we were supposed to be getting. I just don't. I don't even know how to even say how hurt I can't say anything because I didn't see it. But Michael Keaton wasn't someone I would get me into a seat at the movie theater because I'd rather watch movies at home. COVID changed me.
Mm.
COVID literally the idea of going out and doing something is not what it used to be to me. And because it's not what it used to be to me, it takes a lot to get me out of the seat. What got me out of my seat to go see a movie was Fast X. And literally less than 2 weeks later, it was available for me to purchase, and I purchased it. If Batman right now, or I mean, The Flash should be available for purchase right now. It just
Hmm.
should. Um, and I keep checking. What's funny is that I keep checking Max to see if it's actually out for me to go ahead and watch, and because I want to see it, but not bad enough to go see it in the movie theater. It doesn't grab me. I still didn't see Spider Man across the universe, across the Spider Verse. I heard that was amazing. There are people that saw it like 2 or 3 times already, and still says it's probably one of the best movies that's out right now. I didn't see Little Mermaid. The list goes on. I spend a lot of money on all these different streaming services, and I'm at the point in my life that I it's worth the wait. There's nothing that has made me want to go see a movie except for Fast 10 because I've been a dedicated Fast and Furious person. And I'm only going to the movie theater because I was like, I saw every last one of these in the movie theater. I'm going to see every last one in the movie theater. I saw the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, the sixth one, the seventh one, the eighth one, the ninth one, and now the 10th one. Every last one of those was in a movie theater. And I'm just keeping the tradition alive. But then I found out they're
Yeah.
doing two more of these, and I was like, I might just have to wait for it because clearly this last one came out faster than what I thought. Haha, fast. Than what I thought for on demand. So
Yeah.
that's what happens when we shoot at 8 o'clock at night. Because it came out the way it did, I'm totally fine. But to get back to the long runabout, um, you have a controversial person, the star of a movie, and in the world we live in right now, the culture of what it is,
Hmm.
you have to ask yourself the question, should you have just put this on demand? And the answer is yes, you should have.
One
No
hundred
matter the
percent.
apologies, no matter how you want to sit there and say whatever about anything. Like a good example is right now, who's the black guy that plays the new black guy
Ah,
in Marvel?
Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors. And he well, from the information that we're getting now, it seems like he's really going to win his case and not just win it, but like annihilate it. So I'm really excited about that from the information that's been going out now, which means he will still be able to play Kane. But when certain things happen, you have to think of what is the best interest, and the best interest was just to go ahead and put this on demand and eat the cost. If you're gonna hire James Gunn and put him in the position of making an announcement before one, two, three, I think uh four DC movies come out and make the announcement that all those don't matter and they're coming out with something else, then you should have just released everything. We're gonna cancel everything that's on TV. Every last thing that's DC based, we're gonna cancel. All the movies that are coming out, those have nothing to do with the new storyline and arc that we're creating. If you're gonna make that announcement, then you should have just went ahead and just put everything out on demand and had the best streaming platform anyone's ever seen on these on demand things. Because what we choose to see in the theater, it has to be at a level. What we
Hmm.
choose to see on demand is at a lower level. So a good example, Marvel has now the Invasion show that's out now with Samuel L. Jackson. Because it's not in the movie theater, this is my expectations of it. So if it exceeds that, that's great. But if they had said, let's make this Invasion an actual movie, and they put it in a movie theater, but what it was this, then that's what we're gonna get. And that's I'm sorry, we still have that tier in our head. It's been ingrained in us. Movie theater level and TV level are two different levels. You can have a TV
Exactly.
movie come out. The Jackson 5 movie, probably one of the best movies I've ever seen, and it exceeded my expectations. But if you
Hmm.
had Jackson 5 movie here at a movie theater and I watched it and it's still at the same level, it lowers the expectation. Therefore, I don't like the movie. But if you
Yep.
flip it around and then bring it up, it works. So Black Adam, if it had been released directly for this is an HBO exclusive movie, and it had done it like that, I'm like, oh, Black Adam wasn't all that bad. That was pretty good. But since you said it at the movie theater, it was like, what the hell were y'all thinking? So same thing. You got Shazam. Shazam will be a feature thing for HBO Max coming out. You can only watch it on HBO Max. Oh, great. Oh, HBO movie then. Yeah, that's my expectations right here. But we released it in the movie theater. So yeah, it does that every time. So
Every single time. I
it's common sense, though, Jay. That's the other thing. It's common sense. Why is something that is common sense by every ticket goer, every person that watches movies and shows, it's so adamant. And you know for a fact, like, how is someone at these levels of movie theaters doing these productions and things do not know the definition of what's going to be a hit and what's not going to be a hit? That's what
mm-hmm.
really gets me because you get paid a certain amount of money to go out and find a movie that's going to generate the income to bring up the company. That is your job. So, who needs to be fired that's not doing their job? If I don't do my job at my job, I get fired. If my Joe, you're an engineer. So a good example, all the stuff that I had to put together to make this show work is because I'm an engineer. I made it work. Everything
Mm-hmm.
was not working correctly, but I figured enough path and patterns to make it work. Why? Because that's my job to do that. Now, if we didn't do this show tonight, if I had Jay, we're canceling. I can't get my audio to work right. I don't want to be on a speakerphone for the meeting, so we're canceling. And I was getting paid to do this. They would be like, we might need to hire somebody else who has better experience to take equipment that doesn't work well together and make it work. So
Exactly.
who is this person at DC? I don't because I don't think it's the CEO or the head honcho. Like who's the guy that's the head of Marvel right now?
Oh my God, is it Kevin Feige or
No, I'm sorry, not Marvel, DC.
DC? James
James
Gunn.
Gunn. So you
Yeah.
got James Gunn, but James Gunn's hire people to say, okay, you want to do Superman, we need to set the expectations of this level, and then we'll make this amount of money. If you want to do this particular movie, Blue Beetle, we need to set the expectations at this level, and it's gonna make this much money. But if they say, you know what, we're gonna use Avenger money to make the same amount of money they use to make Avengers the movie, we're gonna use that to make Blue Beetle. You're gonna lose a lot of money. And it's the same situation with Black Adams. Like Black Adam was like, we're gonna spend this amount of money. And I'm like, Rock should have taken a major pay cut if he believed in this movie the way he did. If he said, you know what, the first Black Adam, I'm doing for free promotion and everything. I'm gonna pay for this. I'm gonna take the loss on that. That way we can bring the millions of dollars down some. On top of that, give me some B-list actors instead of the A-list actors that we have. Let's bring that down for the cost of that. Graphics and all that kind of stuff. Let's do more of a close line storyline where we lose some of the graphics and then we can bring that down. So if you tapered all those costs down, Black Adam, give it the same amount of money in the end for how much it made, it would have exceeded the expectations, and you would have had a Black Adam 2 automatically. And Black
Yes.
Adam 2 allows you to do more. So
Yes.
there are people that do that. And I know people were like, well, The Rock wouldn't have tolerated that. But I'm like, that's when you sit them down. Rock, if you want to do this movie, this is the level of where you at, where you need to make this amount. This is how much we're gonna give you. If you can't do that movie for that, you're out. We're just not going to do the movie. And I'm getting that feeling that those conversations aren't happening.
They
And
aren't.
that person needs to be fired. And then the right people need to come in. Because if James Gunn is going to come in and like, all right, we're going to do a Superman movie and I'm going to have this budget and this things. I'm sorry. Whatever James Gunn is going to create, he needs to start at the low expectations. Everyone keeps forgetting that Iron Man started with not A-list actors. The guy that played Tony Stark, I'm so
Robert Downey Jr.
my brain is just like going slow tonight. Robert Downey Jr.
And I
was
don't know
not
why
A
mine is
list.
remembering all this stuff because I never do. But go ahead.
This works out perfectly for the conversation. You get Robert Downey Jr. to play Iron Man because you could have all right. Tom
Anybody.
Cruise will be playing Iron Man for the movies. That is a different level.
That's a
Tom
moody
Cruise
Iron
makes this
Man
amount, and Robert Downey Jr. gets
Jr.
this amount.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to clearly do shows early in the day, or I'm gonna have to have caffeine because this is just embarrassing now. So Robert Downey Jr. made this amount of money for it, but then he continued to climb and grow, and that's what you need to do. So whoever's gonna play Superman needs to be a nobody. So if he sits there
I'm
and he
pretty sure they
says,
are.
"We got Tom Cruise for Superman," we're gonna have problems with this movie. So
Yeah, no.
expectations low. All right, so Superman is only gonna fly for and use his powers for 30 minutes out of the 2-hour movie. Now, if you had Superman doing an hour in 7 minutes out of a 2.5 hour movie of him doing that, that brings the cost up. But if you had a Superman story where the majority of it was Clark Kent and it was more of an emotional, psychological movie, then you can bring all that money down. And that's what they're going to have to do. If you look at the Iron Man suits in the first Iron Man movie, he really didn't really fight as Iron Man until like the last 10 minutes. The whole entire point was him building pieces until they got to the Iron Man suit, until it was finally
Mm-hmm.
done. Even the first one, I don't know how much was digital and how much was actual real, but it was lower on the money side when it comes to the graphics. The Iron Man suit from Avengers compared to that cost of that suit compared to the Iron Man suit of one, that money was different level money. And people need to understand that. And they
Yeah.
need to set those expectations for the Superman thing. That's how I feel about how it was. I know I went all downtown
No.
and around, but
There's
the
nothing you
Flash is
said
just
that wasn't in my head. Absolutely everything that you said was everything that I was thinking, and it could not have said it better myself. It literally, that's exactly how I feel. It should have been on Max, and that announcement should have just never been made. If you wanted these movies to do well, it should have never been made. You're not talking to Marvel fans. Marvel fans are going to go see Marvel movies no matter what. DC fans aren't like that. They're only going to see the things that they know are good, that they know are solid. And DC has not been solid for a while, and
for
the
years.
for years,
What was the
for
last
you,
solid movie?
the last solid DC. I don't
Because
think they
you said
ever.
people love the Batman. Did that recover? Did that make the amount that it was supposed to make?
It did. The Batman was probably the first movie in a long time that did what it was supposed to do. But once again, it did not have the expectation was not up here. We were expecting
That's
something down here,
true.
and then we
That's
got something that was
true.
greater. Robert Pattinson was supposed to bomb, and he didn't, and that's the reason why it did so
They
amazing.
did say it was not going to be good, and then it exceeded expectations. You're right. I forgot
Yeah,
about that because all I remember is the afterthought of it, but not the
yeah.
before thought. And the before thought was it was like, are you serious? The dude from Twilight is going to be doing a Batman movie? Are you serious? They just
Mm-hmm.
passed it all off. They're like, wait, who's the Penguin? Yeah, I'm not watching that. And that's how it
Yep.
was. And then it did the exact opposite. Okay, yeah, I'm right then.
And
Yeah.
whether you love the storyline or not, every actor showed up. They showed up to perform, and it just did more. It did more than what they expected it to do. And what do? They get two Max spinoff series. They get all this other type of stuff simply because the first movie was supposed to bomb and it didn't. And before then, Joe, I would honestly have to say Shazam. The first Shazam was the last good, solid DC movie, and that was years ago. We saw it together. I can't tell you what's happened in between that time that was good. The Avengers, I mean, not the Avengers, the Justice League movie bombed. The Snyder Cut did better, and that was on HBO Max. And
Did all those Supermans and Batmans from the Justice League fail? You
as
had the Superman versus Batman, and
which
then Justice League.
Yep. And Superman versus Batman, even though it made a ton of money, I don't know. I can't tell you if they made up their sales. And even if they did, the public opinion was it wasn't what they wanted it to be. So everyone thought, okay, they're going to recover by Justice League. Never recovered from it. And that was because they knew going into the movie that it was not the Snyder cut. and they knew they were not going to release the Snyder cut. So many people didn't go see it because they knew it wasn't going to, they wouldn't even give it a chance. So then they released the Snyder cut on HBO Max, and they were just like, why didn't you just release this movie? This would have done extremely well. And they never did it. But literally the last great DC movie that did the money, made up the sales, exceeded expectations, and from point A to point Z did everything that it was supposed to do was um, Man of Steel. And that's the movie that was supposed to start everything.
Man of Steel only made $291 million.
How much did they spend on it?
I'm trying to find out because this is bothersome. Wait, how much did Iron Man make?
That's a good question.
The budget for Iron Man was 130 to 140 million. The box office was 585 million.
Nice.
So if Iron Man made more than, please don't let me be right about this. Iron Man made more money than Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice almost together, because that movie is still making money, and this is the lifetime gross of Batman versus Superman. Because Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice is 330 million. Man of Steel was 291 million. So I know my numbers are off in the sense that technically that makes it 600 million and some change, but
It's
Iron Man
still
made
so close.
585 million. That it's so close
It's
that it's just
still
like
so damn close.
one movie made more than two one movie made just as much as two movies, and um
DC has been struggling from the start, and then they tried to play catch up, which made them struggle more. I think Man of Steel was on a path to be that series. They were on a pathway to be that series, and then I feel like they tried too hard to play catch up. The next movie should not have been Justice League.
okay,
What?
maybe I'm wrong because I'm getting different numbers now. What is going on here?
What's wrong?
Because I'm getting different numbers of the gross of Man of Steel. Because now it's saying Man of Steel cost 225 million to make. That's what it was. It
Okay.
made a profit of 668 million.
Okay.
Okay, I feel
So
better. So you're right.
okay,
Yeah,
me
because
too.
I was really bothered by that because I didn't make any sense
Yeah.
because I remember those trailers. So
Yes.
yeah,
I just remember the reactions to people.
let me see the numbers.
I couldn't go anywhere in the street with people talking to me because everyone knew how much of a Superman fan that I was. So when that movie came out, they were like, "Jay, we saw your boy. We saw your boy." I was like, "Oh my god, this movie's so good!" And it was just that was probably one of my best years in terms of movies.
And then
They
see,
just
hear it again, and then Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, it made 855 million worldwide, but on 321 million in where's that at? I swear, sometimes people don't have the.
the numbers you need.
Yeah, this should just be one site, and then no one else
That's
uses
what
any other.
I said. I've always been trying to look stuff like that up. I don't
Okay,
think even think IMDb has it.
I'm on Wikipedia, so we'll see how accurate that is. So
Copy.
budget for that is 250 million to 300 million dollars. The box office is 873 million. So I mean, technically, these were the numbers they were looking for. So I this is my confusion. If Man of Steel made 800 million, if Dawn of Justice made over 800 million, and then what is the third one would be Justice League
Mm-hmm.
gross. That word gross always makes me laugh. The budget for Justice League was 300 million. Um It says the box office was 657 million. So it made double its money back. I
I
don't
think I think it's just I think what we're looking at, and it took me a while to get it myself. I think what we're seeing and what we're looking at is the difference is when Marvel dropped its movies, you everywhere you went, you were hearing people say that it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And when DC dropped its movies, people all anybody you talked to about any one of these movies was just like, oh, it was all right. Everyone saw it, but they all thought it was just all right. And I think that the public opinion on those movies is what is killing them now. Because I think people are just sick of all right movies. They want a really good movie to go see. And
Almost like you said, alt right.
I know they're sick of that. But they're done with the okay movies, and it sucks because I know DC is trying, but at the same time, I honestly don't know. I can't tell you what the formula to this is because if they gave DC Comics fans what they really wanted, the movie would probably bomb. The only people that would see it is DC Comics fans if they actually gave us a true DC Comics story because it would be rated R. No matter what superhero it was, it would be rated R. It would be incredibly sad and incredibly unforgiving. And that's what DC Comics usually are.
Wait, but hold on, because I got a side point to that because you're talking about DC, probably 2005 on. A lot of that stuff, DC in their original past, their original comics weren't that sad.
They weren't.
Because you have to look at the audience. The audience of DC Comics have hugely changed. Even though, yes, we still got the young kids watching DC Comics because I think a lot of parents don't understand how bad it's gotten. Nope, I'm gonna take those words back. Not as bad as it got in the sense of, ooh, this has gotten bad. It's not good anymore. But in the
Yeah,
sense of, it's gotten darker. It's gotten harder. There's
much
a deeper
darker. Yeah.
storyline. The deaths are even more the fate of the world and the fate of just a character and their emotional and their trauma and their what they're going through is so much deeper and so much darker than it's ever been. They've had deepness and darkness in a lot of their stories, but there's so much like love and happiness and things that happen in that. Their original comic books had the color. Even the color is darker in DC
Yes.
Comics than what it used to be. And
Hmm.
if you go back to the original storylines, the very beginning of what it was, the brightness, the color, what they told of standing for truth and justice and like but at the same time, you also have to remember Superman's parents died. Not only did his parents die, whole planet died. That's how his story starts. Hey,
Yes.
your planet is gone. I'm sending you to another planet. Batman's story, parents are dead. Green Arrow, father died.
I think.
I
Yeah.
think depending on the story, I think in some storylines something's different about that.
Yeah.
Um, Flash is a lighter note, but this isn't because his mother dies. His father gets framed for it. Everybody's origin story for DC starts with pretty much death in a sense, a
Diana gets
big
kicked
death.
kicked out of Themyscira. Like that's the only home she's ever known, and they won't let her come back. That's her own
It's
mother.
but then you look at the Marvel side, Iron Man's father wasn't like killed. It was just like he decided to take the war and change it because they were using his weapons against what he thought it would be and change, and he's like, hey, we're not going to do that, so I'm going to stop it. And this is how he stopped it. But I don't think there was a murder that spun him into him becoming Iron, like murder in the sense of his girlfriend, his wife, his mom, like someone that he personally knew. I think
Well,
it
I
was just
mean,
war in general. So war is more open. People are more susceptible to being okay with, oh, it's war, okay, he's doing this to save the war. Same thing with Captain America. It's war, so they're gonna just come go and save everybody. But DC is like, my mom died, my dad died. Well, kind of except for Spider-Man. Spider-Man's always that exception because it's just
yeah,
like,
but still, when you look at it, they do have those stories because even in Civil War, it talks about the fact that Tony Stark's mom was killed, or died or whatever. They have those stories, but they're able to brighten them up. a little more. The
Well, I don't know.
real,
What I'm saying is, it's not their origin story.
yeah, it's a story that happens
DC
along the
is like,
way.
my parents died, I became this. And
That's
like
page one.
Batman, Superman, my parents died, I became this. But
Page
Iron
one.
Man and those things are like, Iron Man wasn't like, my mom died, so I became Iron Man. That's not the
No,
story.
you're
It's,
right. You're
hey,
right.
they stole my weapons without my permission and they're using it for evil. I'm stopping them. There's a big difference between that
And then a
compared to
decade later,
DC. And
it's just like, oh, this person, finds say Fantastic Four. People don't. None of the Fantastic Four members die for like 20 years, and then finally someone passes away. So it's just like you're absolutely right. It's a
even like
darker.
a Spider-Man story, like, he didn't become Spider-Man when Uncle Ben died. He was already Spider-Man and Uncle Ben died. So it's just like,
Mhm,
it's very different. Like, he became as a responsible superhero
mhm.
when Uncle Ben died, but Uncle Ben was alive, and Spider-Man, he was a good student. He was doing great things. He would have just been a successful, he would have been a successful scientist making a lot of money. Literally becoming Spider-Man changed his world because he's trying to split his life into two, and it's hard to do. But technically speaking, when you really think about it, that's death wasn't him becoming Spider-Man. Death was him becoming a responsible Spider-Man. Um, yeah, I really want to break more into comics and into the in-depth of origin stories, because the origin stories of DC compared to the origin stories when it comes to Marvel. But then again, maybe there's a lot of Marvel ones that I don't know about, but I'm only talking about the ones that are in the movie theaters that we're all sitting down to watch until they start doing some of these other storylines. But it's yeah. I don't know.
Let's look at Robin. Robin's parents were killed in a carnival, and it was a bunch of gangsters that wanted to pay for either them or Robin to come work for them, and they turned them down. So when Robin's parents were up on the trapeze, they cut the rope and they fell to their death. That's how Batman meets Robin and tells him to come live with him. Like the stories are just freaking heartbreaking. Like it's insane, and I don't know how that translates to TV without people going, "Yeah, I saw it, but I don't know if I'm happy that I saw it."
Mhm, mhm.
Like I don't know how they have now that we're actually reading or saying this out loud for me for the first time. I just now that I'm looking at it, it was never going to be an easy task. Even in all the money that they made, they still got a bad rep. Why isn't it as funny as Thor? Why isn't it as sexy as I don't know, uh, one of them, Captain America, or why isn't it blah 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 blah? And it's just like they not focused on that. They got too much emotional stuff going on to be joking in every other line. And it's very difficult to write jokes and make it lighthearted at times and make it serious at others. When if it was the actual comic book, they ain't worried about making you laugh. They're just trying to tell the best story.
If that's the case, should we stop doing DC movies and only do DC's TV shows?
I mean, James Gunn talked about it, and he said that with the new era coming, he's going to be uniting movies, TV shows. He said video games and cartoon and animated shows as well.
He's just
So,
gonna copy off Marvel.
so basically, with these finally being interconnected, because DC has never had a connection like that. We've always wanted it because and that's the reason why we wanted it. We need the animated and TV show writers to write the movies because for some strange reason they get it right on the page every single time when it's drawn or when it's on a TV screen, but they cannot make that connection in the theater. And
Because the
we
theater goes Hollywood and they try to adapt things they should not adapt. When you're each the difference well, see, that's not really because I'm looking at an actual the cartoons that come on. I don't even want to call those cartoons. There should be a better name for something in between. Calling something an anime a cartoon, and the, that's another conversation. But when
Yeah.
you watch the DC cartoons that come out, where it's like the actual like little movie things that come out, they're their own storyline. And what I was gonna say was like, well, they're their own storyline for that one particular situation in that one particular event. But I'm like, same thing for a movie. There's no difference. So why is it that you can get it right in the that world of a cartoon, but when you bring it up to the big screen, it's a problem. And I think the problem is there are too many heads talking. It's the actors like, well, I think, Batman will probably do something like this. And I'm like, did you write it? Can I just, pay you for what you're supposed to be doing? And I think they really need to go back to no names on every single cast member and do it right. We knew who you look at the whole entire cast of Iron Man in the first movie. They are not a single one of them was like can hold a movie getting a movie of over 4 or 500 million, but except for which is interesting, what is his name? The black guy
Oh,
in the first Iron Man.
oh yeah.
He was the
Terrence
Terrence Howard.
Terrence
So
Howard.
you got Terrence Howard, who's the only one that signed $10 million for me to do a movie. He's at that level where you want him to be in the movie. It starts at $10 million. He was the only one out of everybody that was in that cast. So he was the big name, and you needed that name because what were you missing from having people to go see that movie? Black people. And
Mhm.
Terrence Howard was the black person to get you to go if you did not know anything about comics and what it brought to the table. Robert Downey Jr. looks like Iron Man and had Iron Man's similar lifestyle. And that's why what made him a perfect, which we're not gonna get into, but I still feel because I still think Terrence Howard was right. Terrence Howard was like, you should get Robert Downey Jr. to play that part. But no one seems to want to talk about that because Terrence Howard's not in it, but we ain't gonna discuss that. I don't want to I'm not gonna do that.
We
Um,
are going to discuss it on another show because I do want to go into a full discussion about that. But whatever.
Okay, we can do that. We ain't gonna watch it. I can't wait for people to go back and watch the old episodes. And be like, they said what?
They
So,
said what? You totally canceled.
yeah, we're gonna cancel all of them. But it you had no A-listers doing this, and what you're saying is the new Superman is not going to be an A-lister, but they're, in my opinion, already trapped. Um, they're already screwed because the expectations are beyond effed up. They should have just stopped and said, they remind me of the war between Xbox and PlayStation. Um, PlayStation is Marvel, where they at one point got it not only right, but so right they flew past the competition. Now, that's not to say that Xbox doesn't make money. Xbox makes millions upon millions of dollars, probably in the billions, maybe. But PlayStation is super exceeding that. So what Xbox did is let's pivot. Let's make it less about buying a console and more about giving you the gaming experience. And they're starting to win that one because it's about the service that we offer. You get all these games, you can do all these things. Now their money's getting even higher and it's less about the console. Like whatever console you have, you'll be able to play every last game that we have. And it's the God's honest truth. You got an Xbox 360, it'll play it. It's gonna suck a little bit, but it's gonna play it. Then you got the Xbox Series X that's like top of the line. Oh, it doesn't have any problem playing it, but at the same time, you got James over here. Well, I'm gonna play it on a PC, so now you get to still play the game. No matter what platform you have, you're gonna play our games. You're all good to go. That's their service now. They pivoted, and I think DC needs to do a complete pivot. And everyone's saying James Gunn doing these movies is going to be that pivot, but it's not. You're doing the exact same thing that everybody else is doing. If you do it too dark, they're going to complain. The people that have been Superman fans and thinks that Superman should be always lighthearted. If you do it too light, people are going to complain because the hardcore fans are like, Superman did some dark things that have happened, or Superman had some dark things happen to him, and you're missing those storylines. You are not going to win. But if you did something different, where you had a DC movie that was Superman, and then you had another Superman movie that was completely different, but had a different actor. That's the difference that you no one's ever done that. Like, what was interesting, I take that back. What was interesting is that almost every 2 movies or 3 movies, you had a different Batman playing Batman, and it worked. Alright, here's Batman from this world. Here's Batman from this world. Here's Batman
Mm,
from this world. And each time they did it differently, we loved it. Because then you had, the recent Batman with the dude from Twilight, and no one knew how it was going to be, and they ended up loving it. Now they're going to do another one about it. But just before that, you had 3 Batman movies that had a different style to it, and everyone liked it because it was a different kind of Batman. But just before those 3 movies, there was another Batman, and people didn't like that, but it still made enough money. But then right before that, there was a different Batman, and before that, there was a different Batman. You can start at Michael Keaton if you want to when it comes to the movies, but even still, the Batman TV show from back in the day, they actually had a movie that came out in the movie theaters. So there's been different Batmans. That method worked. Why are you so honed on trying to make this story arc of all these people getting together to do a movie where you got Aquaman, and so Aquaman's gonna be in the Batman movie doing this, and like Justice League comes and does this, and it's this big story arc that comes. It wasn't. If you watch the is it Peter Nolan? When he did the other Batman movies, the 3 Batman movies, each one was his own little
Christopher
Batman.
Nolan.
Is it Christopher Nolan? That's what I was thinking.
I
Yeah.
think it's Christopher Nolan.
Did I say Peter or did I say Christopher?
You said Peter.
Oh, wow. I need to go to bed. You got the 3 movies that he did, and each one is its own separate movie doing its own separate thing, but having the
Hmm.
same character. Now, the character grows older and does something different, but each storyline is its own storyline. You have some characters that reprise their role, but each story is their own storyline. And then he finished it. Third movie, we're done. And everyone was like, oh, wow, now we're going to have their own Robin movie. No, I'm done. I'm moving on to my next project. If y'all want a Robin movie, y'all figure that mess out on your own. I'm done with what I'm doing. And they were successful, 3 successful movies. Then you have the Michael Keaton Batman. You had the first one and you had the second one. And then it was time, the next Batman was a completely different Batman style. That was successful in its own way because I think that was Val Kilmer. But Val Kilmer
Yeah.
did his one and he was like, I didn't want to do it anymore. And then all of a sudden now it was the dude from ER. I can't think of his name, but he did
George
his.
Clooney.
George Clooney did Batman
Why
and
am I
was okay with
remembering
that.
all of this? Jesus.
So you keep powering through and you create, but then he did his. I think he did 3 of them. And after he
Clooney.
does his 3, yeah, Clooney, he did 2 or 3. Then it's done. You don't see Batman anymore for years and years and years. Then they're like, hey, you know what? We're gonna bring back Batman. Well, how are you gonna do it? Well, we're gonna do a dark version this time. The other ones were kind of like light and kind of weird and comic booky. This time, we're actually gonna do like a dark, gritty, like what if Batman was in our world right now? Perfect. Let's do that. They do it. It's a big hit. All right, you finish that. So what are you gonna do with Batman now? And they said, you know what? Let's do Batman, but more like a noir style, where he's more detective than anything else, and he's like, mostly using detective skills and that kind of thing to do it. All right, will it hit home? Well, let's find out. Guess what? It did. That's a different style of Batman. What's next? All right, let's not do Batman for a while, or let's do a part 2 of this one since it was good and keep it going. You don't need to sit there and do what Marvel's doing, where you create this big giant universe and everything's got to connect to this, connect to that. I mean, you got James Gunn, who's ahead of it. And what I want to say is James Gunn was not a big fan of the what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy characters for the other movies. So if you didn't like how they did your characters for Guardians of the Galaxy because they had to put them in that universe, why are you going to sit there and do the exact same thing and create this universe of all these different characters? I'll be honest, I don't need it. I can do a full Justice League that's just a Justice League on its own, and they all get together and do what they need to do and do the Justice League. And then 2 years later, have a Superman on its own with a different person playing Superman, having a complete storyline arc, doing whatever he's done, whether it's a 1 off, a 2 off, or a 3 off, different. Why
Mhm.
can't you just do that and be content with that? Because the numbers here show Man of Steel made what it made. Y'all made all your money back plus almost 3 times as much. Then you had Batman versus Superman, which I think, in my opinion, shouldn't have been done in a sense because you're trying to force that togetherness where you don't need to. because you could have had
Yeah,
your own Batman with Ben Affleck. I still think Ben Affleck did an amazing job as
he
Batman. I
did.
liked his
He was
character.
one of the best Batmans that never got his own movie, and that sucks.
Exactly. And they were
And
supposed to, and then they were trying to put him in what was that group of people? Suicide Squad. We're gonna put Batman in there. He's gonna have a little small role. And I'm like, stop. Stop trying to do that. What Marvel did. It doesn't work for DC because DC people are standalone characters on their own. And then you have a world event that brings them together, but they're their own standalone. Just leave it
mhm,
like that. They don't need to hang out. Batman did not like hanging out with Superman. Even if you
hated
watch
it.
the Justice League cartoons, he was pissed that they had to work together. So why are you going to try and make the camaraderie there when it's not needed? Don't don't f up what's good. I love seeing different characters in the DC universe play the same character, different actors, because you get such a different feeling for them. Because if I need something gritty, I'm not gonna look for George Clooney for gritty. I'm gonna look for that lighthearted, like charismatic person that just kind of like grabs you. But if I want some grit, I'm like you got Matt Damon playing. Did I just say the wrong name again? Is it Matt Damon?
No, it's Ben
No,
Affleck.
Ben Affleck. Because I just saw Air. This is hilarious,
This
and I
is
can't wait
so
to
fucking
rewatch all the mistakes that I made on getting everybody's name wrong. I don't think I got a single name right at
funny.
all tonight.
But I'm that guy. I am not the guy that remembers all this stuff. So you must be really awesome.
This is just hilarious. I think I just got so frustrated with everything not
Yeah.
working. I'm like, if that's not gonna work, neither are these names. I might as well just change my name up here that says Joseph to another name, just to balance out the evening. Is because this is just
Where
so
did Matt
hilarious.
Damon come from?
Yeah, because I was like, but then I'm like, I just saw Air the other night, the Air Jordan movie, and both of them were
Yeah.
in there. And I've always gotten Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. I've never confused them a day in my life. In the moment
Yes.
I need to say their name, I don't get it right, and I'm so known for knowing the name. This is just so hilarious to me. So
So
anyway,
I'm gonna.
Hugh Jackman playing Scorpio. Um, since
so
I'm
I'm
that
gonna.
off,
I'm gonna say this because I gotta go, unfortunately. But I'm gonna say this. There was in their credit, there are a lot of because I went back and I read and I'm still reading a lot of the earlier comic books, and you guys can too by getting the DC Universe app. But if you get the DC Universe app, it'll let you all of the new stuff. It'll make you pay a top tier amount for. But if you get the basic amount, you can go back and read a lot of almost everything from like the 1930s and the 1950s and the whatever. So going back and reading that, yeah, there was a lot of camaraderie between Superman and Batman because that was the era of things. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to put them in this dark, gritty world and have that same camaraderie, and they don't have it in this new
mm,
universe. And so if you're gonna make it lighthearted and fun, if you're gonna make that camaraderie between Batman and Superman, Superman needs to be Dean Cain from The Adventures of Lois and Clark. That's
thank
a
you.
that that's the type of Superman that's going to need to be standing next to Batman and them telling jokes to each other. But you're not going to
Yes.
get that in the new age, in the new world. And on my closing comment is that the only hope that I have for the new universe coming up is the fact that James Gunn is a fan of the old comics. And he's not a fan, he's never been a fan of Justice League. He's a fan of the Justice Society of America, which is completely different, even though some of the same members are in it. Justice Society is about different superheroes from different countries coming together for worldwide events. Now, if he creates movies that are centered around that, we may break the bank because now we're not just getting stories about the American superheroes, we're getting stories about the UK superheroes, the Japanese superheroes, all of them. And if he can open up that world to us, he may just do that one thing that no one else is doing.
It would only work if everybody speaks their own language because I'm so sick of somebody coming from another country and they got to fight a battle, but somehow they all speak English.
Well, that's how the comics were. So if he does it that way, you can't blame him.
Well, cool. Thank you everybody for watching and listening. As always, I'm Joseph. That's Javis, and we're here to keep you locked and loaded as always with the information that we find. Even though tonight I got everything wrong, so stay stay safe out there. While I go see a doctor to figure out what's going on with me. Y'all have a good one.
You-
Take it easy.
Bye, you
Bye.
guys.